Welcome back to Framing the Force. Before the break, we discussed the cancellation of The Acolyte. Now we wanted to look at this decision on a larger scale and how we feel about the current slate of Star Wars. 4 years ago at D23, Kathleen Kennedy announced a massive slate that was supposed to be the driving force of Lucasfilm content for years to come. 4 years later, of the 11 Star Wars projects discussed, 2 have been canceled, 3 are on hold or under redevelopment, and another 3 have either ended or had their seasons reduced. On top of this, 2 other Lucasfilm projects announced were either sold off or are no longer publicly available for viewership.
Insane.
Coupling this with a real sense of uncertainty for the future slate of Star Wars projects, Alex, how are you feeling about the future of Star Wars?
Not great. I'm just gonna go ahead and we'll get out in front. Not too great. We have Andor season 2, and that's about what I'm hyped on. I mean we're getting season 2 of Ahsoka. I know that's like a thing.
That ain't getting canceled, knowing Dave.
Yeah, no, it literally. So we have Andor season 2 that we're getting because, as we talked about earlier, Tony Gilroy is a G and was like, "Give me 2 seasons before I start this," and so that's guaranteed. That's for sure the only reason we're getting a season 2 of Andor, and anything that has Dave Filoni's name on it is still good. Those are basically like the things that we get right now.
So slim pickings.
Yeah, it's I pulled up the picture because we have a group chat, obviously, and the picture of Kathleen Kennedy standing in front of that slate of projects and just seeing like sold off, canceled, wiped from existence, reduced from 5 to 2 seasons, like canceled, on hold, under redevelopment. Like it's just there's not
lost the rights.
Like I saw someone also say this, and I fully agree with it. As a creator in the industry, as a writer or a director, why on God's earth would you sign up for a Star Wars project right now? Like, why? I wish I need to find it. I have it bookmarked somewhere deep in my bookmarks on Twitter, but there's this guy who every time a new Star Wars project gets like canceled or redeveloped or whatever, he like updates the percentage of Star Wars projects that actually like that go from announced to being completed, and the number is abysmal. It's awful. Like it's a terrible batting average. Like if Star Wars projects going from announcement to completion was a batting average in the MLB, there is no way in hell any team would draft that player. Like it's just you're not. It makes no sense. And like
hey, the books are doing great.
Yeah, that's a, yeah, exactly. Like it's literally we have the books and the comics, right? Those still look good and feel like they'll be fine, right? But yeah, as far as like TV and
what we
movies,
show for
nothing's looking real great right now. We didn't get any new animation announcements at D23, which sucked.
Yeah, we were
by the way,
really
like,
bad. We were batting 0 on that one.
Yeah, real rough predictions on our part there. Nothing. We got absolutely nothing on the future of Star Wars animation, which is so cool. Love that. There are no other live action series besides Ahsoka, and we know we're getting Skeleton Crew, obviously, but like beyond that, nothing.
Getting a second, like, do we know if it is?
There's no
series?
way.
Like
0% chance.
I don't know if it's supposed
to
be a limited series or what. I have no idea.
It hasn't been billed as that yet, but I guarantee you they're working on those posters right now. Like, like there's no way that's getting a season 2, even before this, because like I mean this is gonna sound rude, but like I'm sorry, I cannot see that show not bombing in terms of viewership. Like I don't think the audience is gonna
did what it did. I
can't imagine that. I'm not like
I'm gonna still show up. I'm gonna be one of those viewers, but I like just I guess the general public, if they lost an interest, or whether it was losing of interest, bad
or
reviews,
just not being there,
whatever, like just it wasn't on their plate, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If there was a lack of that for the Acolyte, a bunch, this is a new era of Star Wars, bunch of lightsabers,
there's 50 lightsabers in the episode.
There's a bunch of Jedi roaming around, like they're alive and well. Like if that's not pulling in solid numbers, I do not think a Goonies in space is going, like, especially when it's the follow-up to the show that didn't do the numbers well enough to save itself from cancellation.
Yeah, like when it's the next project up, I don't feel
Like
great about that one.
it's already an uphill battle for it in itself, and it has nothing to do with what it actually is because of just what it's coming after.
It's just
So
so it's
it's
so
yeah.
wild because when you look at it, like they can't seemingly pull in new audience in the numbers that they need to, and they've completely split or lost the existing audience. Like, I'll be brutally honest, if we didn't have this podcast in which I know that we're going to be talking about Skeleton Crew, I straight up wouldn't watch the show. I mean, like, I didn't even finish season 2 of The Bad Batch, and I like that show. Like, I like there's just the brand at the franchise at this point has lost so much goodwill for me, and I want to give it so much like, if you have a huge fan base that wants so desperately to like what you're putting out, and if you're losing them, like, I I don't know how you fix that really, like,
Yeah,
without
even
severely like refiguring. I don't know, like,
like
it's
I will say I'll always go back to like I will never lose those stories that have been told and
yeah.
everything. And I like just the aesthetic I love. Like I have a huge collection. I always have. I will
Mhm.
always have one. But like even as just like the crazy fan that I am, it's hard to be optimistic right now.
Yeah, dude, it's impossible. I'd say
Like
it's pretty much impossible. Like, you can't,
I
like,
mean
if you
like
look at the stuff, it's just how.
and it's like you give it's like first of all you promise so many new shows.
Mhm.
And then with the ones that survive and are delivered, you 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 expect
Are
one
not
season at this
fantastic.
point. Like that
Yeah.
yeah, even besides that point, at this point,
Besides the
like
quality, yeah.
I can't even just like sit down and like, you know, grow with it, watch it as a TV show. And
Yeah, like, what do you wanna get invested? It's gonna get canceled. You know
I
it's gonna
have
get canceled.
always said, and I've said this since like when Clone Wars was first starting out, I never really liked the original seasons of Clone Wars like many people when it came out.
Mhm.
Um, but I've always said, even to like even then, that Star Wars, while yes, it is that cinema like generational experience, like it is the big show, that is the
Mhm.
golden ticket in the movies, and it always will be. I think as a development and as a story and to explore the universe, it's will survive, not survive, but it will tell those stories better from a television perspective. And I
Mhm.
still believe that. But the way they've been doing it that way
Well, see,
does not
they
follow through on the traditional television
that's exactly what I was gonna say.
structure.
The
So
caveat there is that it would be better in a traditional television
exactly. So
setting,
like and
but as
I
we're
still
saying,
believe this. I've said this since I was a 10-year-old.
yeah.
And I always want there to be Star Wars movies. I want them to be a little spaced out, like, give me like what is it? 3 years was the traditional gap for that. Yeah, 3 years. Give me those 3 years. I'm cool with that. Space them
Mhm.
out a little bit. I don't need them every single year. Space them out. Give me the 3 years,
See, I
but
think
give me also a television show with like, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 seasons, 13 episodes a season, 45 minutes each.
yeah,
Maybe that would do a lot.
better. Yeah, I think for the TV side of things, um, one, if they're not going to shift just completely away from TV and focus more on the films, which I think arguably at this point is what they should do, because television,
Gotta get their
the
footing
streaming
back.
television side of it has diluted and lost so much of the goodwill that Star Wars as a franchise has. I think that you absolutely should be like, okay, we're going to take a break from trying to pump out
You gotta
18
get some
different
trust
shows.
back.
Yeah, and like focus on bringing Star Wars back to the big screen in the best way possible, which I don't think Mandalorian and Grogu is the way to do that, but that's a different conversation.
I agree.
Which we'll talk about some in a second. But I think that you should shift away from the Star Wars TV as it exists and has existed for the last couple of years. And if you were to do it in a more traditional TV sense, that would be fine. I think you should, though, right now focus on the TV, on the film side of things. I also like. I agree that it would be good to like space them out. Like, you don't need them every year. But then I also, whenever you said that, I was thinking about back in the golden days, not the golden days, just like 7 years ago, which is crazy to think about the fact that that was that long ago at this point. But like when the plan was that you could do like, because they want to do like the sequel trilogy, like have one of those movies,
And then
and then like
alternate with the stories. Yeah.
yeah, a one-off. Like that would have been so good if they wanted to have just chickened out and like messed that up, right? Like you
Yeah.
could have done mainline saga, like Skywalker saga, wrap that, do a one-off, start Ryan Johnson's trilogy, one-off, like do one of his trilogy
See, they
movies, a
have the
one-off
potential to
story.
do that.
But
They can
yeah,
do that, and they have done that, but I have like I lost a little bit of trust with that because of they didn't know how to one market Solo, two release
mhm,
it far away enough from the last one that just came
mhm.
out, which
Well,
was
yeah,
a
I mean,
really controversial one,
it's just
regardless of
mhm,
whatever. But
yeah,
like that's why like even if it's a 2 year gap, that's okay. But I think the
mhm.
alternating 1 to 1, while yes, as a fan, that's fucking awesome. Don't
Yeah,
get me
that's sick.
wrong.
Yeah, fucking
But
Star Wars movie every year, sign me up.
yeah,
Like if it's
yeah,
good.
exactly. But also trying them so focused on that timeline. Look what
Wrecked
happened with the
them.
rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, I mean, it wrecked them. It's it's one of those things where they like course corrected too harshly, a la DC circa 2017. Which crazy that it happened at the same time. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it and say it out loud. But like, it's just that thing where like they knee jerk reaction is way too hard to Solo not performing like it should. But that's also because they, for some, I legitimately do not understand how you can shoot 95% of a movie and be almost done with it and then be like, no, never mind, we need to redo the whole thing. Basically with Solo, it's a miracle that movie is as good as it is.
Yeah.
But that aside, like you could have done that. You could have had like post Skywalker saga, one of Ryan Johnson's movies, which for the record, by the way, has still never officially been canceled. Like
Which
that
is
is
not like
technically still in development, and I know
I
Ryan
guess
Johnson is
like they're just
recently
waiting on him to finish Knives Out.
Knives
I have
Out. Yeah,
no
right. There's
idea
yeah.
what the hell they're planning. Like I don't
I
know.
mean,
I'll
dude,
believe that when I'm sitting in a theater watching it.
I'm gonna stay delusional and copium on
I
that
really
for
hope it happens. I love
as
Ryan
long as I
Johnson. I'm
possibly
not
can.
like we know I'm not a Last Jedi fan, but I love Ryan Johnson. So
I
I want to see it, but I have no hope on that one.
I pray constantly that we do still somehow get that trilogy, that it sees the light of day. But like
That
you
would
could have
be
done one of those, like a Star Wars story, one of his a Star Wars story, one of his a Star Wars story, and then
mhm.
like D&D. I didn't want to see their trilogy really after their like
They
track record
deserve what
of
they like.
yeah, they deserve what
That's
they
what.
got
Yep.
as far as all that stuff. We don't have to get into them. This is not a Game of Thrones podcast, but um, like they could have done that with the movies, right? And I think that's what they should shift and kind of focus on now, while like wrapping up Ahsoka season 2 and the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Which, oh my god! Also, can they change that title? Jesus Christ, that is a
I have
atrocious
been
title.
against like character titles.
It's
Like
just
I
it's
didn't mind the Mandalorian because I
mhm,
also like
that's fine.
season one. I enjoyed the thought that oh maybe this Mandalorian is in reference to Grogu, like me
Mhm, yeah,
theorizing and
that
stuff. And
like yeah, yeah.
I still like that potential. I
God,
do.
I hate Grogu. Sorry, that's a whole different thing.
I actually really like him, but that's a different discussion.
Oh
But
man, we'll have to get into that at some point because I can't
yeah,
stand that little dude.
but but no, yeah. What is stop
It's SEO
naming them
optimization.
after
That's literally it. It's just for SEO. That's
like it's
100% what it is.
horrible.
Oh, it's
It's
awful. It's
so
god awful.
stupid.
I thank God every day that Christopher Nolan made the Dark Knight trilogy when he did in 2008, getting ahead of the SEO. Because I guarantee you, I would bet all the money that I have that if the Dark Knight was being released today, it would have to be called Batman: The Dark Knight. There's no way in hell they released that movie without putting Batman in the title. Like it doesn't happen. That's a
Mhm.
totally separate thing.
Well,
But
you
like
got Batman Begins.
yeah, but yeah, like which is but that makes sense. That was like the first one, so
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you're coming like you want
I'm
Batman.
just messing with you on that one. No, you're
Yeah.
100% right.
um yeah, The Mandalorian and Grogu, god awful title. Also though, I have very little faith in that movie being good. I'm sorry. It just the leaked trailer cuz also this is another thing. Why are we still doing convention exclusive trailers? They leak every single time. Like, and
Yep.
I know the reason that people say is they're like, oh well, it's an exclusive for the people that are like there to attend. Hey, dude, the convention is the exclusive for the people that get to attend, right? Like the
The
experience of getting
panel.
to yeah, like the experience of going there is their exclusive. Idiots. The trailers leak every single time, and now I'm watching the first look at your project in 240p and it's taking up a quarter of my screen. Like, why are you? Whatever. That's a whole other thing. But like, I don't think that footage looked good at all. I know it's super early in them filming and stuff still, so it's not done. I'll give them that benefit, but even still, like
Also,
the
like you just had season 3 was not as well received as the previous 2 seasons.
mhm.
And this is your first Star Wars movie since your really, really fucking controversial trilogy.
Yeah, like whatever you think about
I
quality wise of The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker or The Force, I feel like pretty much most people agree The Force Awakens is like good movie, even
it's
if they don't
consistent,
like it.
yeah.
They're like, that's a solid watch,
Yeah.
no matter what.
But like regardless of your stance on it, it was
It's 100%
controversial.
controversial. Yeah, like,
And season 3 of Mando can be considered a little
hmm
controversial. Why is your return to the big screen, what, 7 years later with this?
2025, 29, 6 years later, maybe. Is it coming out next year? Or is it 2026?
I thought it was
It's next year,
2026.
right?
I don't know.
Oh, is it next year?
I don't even know anymore. I
Producer
can't
Sean
remember
in the
what I can't
background.
remember what the 240p trailer told me.
Drop it in the chat. We need to know. Yeah, so either 6 or 7 years after the capstone to your Skywalker saga, that was controversial at best, right? That arguably they've like yet to recover from the reception to the Rise of Skywalker as a
2026. I
franchise.
was right. See, I
May
am smart
2026.
sometimes.
Okay, that does make sense production wise too. It'd be a quick
It
turnaround
just
to get it
started
out
filming,
next
I'm
year.
pretty sure. So,
Yeah,
or wrapped. I
without
don't
Pedro
remember.
Pascal because he's filming Fantastic Four. um,
That's another reason
I mean, he's just voiceover for that, which is fine. Like, good for him, get that bag. But
yeah.
yeah, it's a whole. I have very little confidence in the quality of that movie. I'm not gonna lie. I also have very little confidence in the quality of the Heir to the Empire adaptation movie that we're going to be getting. That's going to be like people are. It hurts so bad because people make jokes about it online that it's going to be like as close as they can try to get to like a Mandoverse version of Endgame with all these cameos and characters, and like we're getting CGI deepfake Luke Skywalker and
Oh,
all of
don't
this
get me
stuff,
fucking
which just is
started.
like, why, we're never moving past. It feels like we're never going to move past this, which sucks. It's so regressive and reductive and boring and just like fans. It's just fan service and self-referential, and like, what are we doing here? It just doesn't make sense to me. We're not moving forward at all, and we're not only it does not feel like we're not moving forward, but the quality also doesn't feel like
It's not
good.
the game. Star Wars broke boundaries every single new film that came out up until
Hmm
2005. Like that was its thing. Even in
Yeah,
2008, when it dropped that really bad Clone Wars movie, that animation was, while not
still,
fully rendered, it was something brand like it was a new
yeah,
form. Like
it was leaps, right? Yeah, and so having the Mandalorian and the Grogu be Star Wars' grand return to the big screen hurts.